Corinthians and Jobs.
Job was a good man. What's going on, everybody? It's your girl Shannon,
It's your man Terrence J.
and this is
The Last Podcast.
And why is this we can start calling this the late podcast?
We need to.
And why is this the last podcast, Terrence?
Because depending on what we say or what we do or how early the live button starts, this
Or how
could
late?
be, or how late the live button
Because
starts.
it never starts early.
Never starts early. This is not what it is. You guys should be used to this by now.
Should.
But here's the thing.
I'm not
It's
even
worth the wait.
It is.
It is worth the wait. This is your best part of your week. So shout out to you guys for hanging out with us. Make sure to click and share. Let everybody know that we own right now. But let's get to our disclaimer. I'm sorry, no. For that, follow us on Facebook. It is The Last Podcast 1. And on Instagram, it's _ The Last Podcast. So keep up with us, please. We would love if you follow our social media platforms so we can.
And shout out to the people who go back and watch it like during the week. Like we get all the notifications. I was
Exactly.
Like, that's what's up.
And shout out to all the people who only let me know that they're watching when I see them in person. What I mean is, they be like, man, your show funny.
You're
Well,
like,
goddamn, I wish you had have told me.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. They'll just scream out, "The Last Podcast." You be like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't even know you watched.
I had a few homies that
Sister Mary.
damn near check out every show. They were like, yeah, when y'all was talking about,
Yeah. So shout out to our listeners and our supporters
Yes.
who don't say anything to us, but
they
still
be in there.
support. So
Yeah.
we appreciate that.
Yeah, and this thing finna get bigger. Trust me.
That's what he said, but she was disappointed the whole night. Anyway,
All right, let's get to our disclaimer.
we will still be friends. I needed music with it. We will still be friends after the show, no matter what is said, no matter what is done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything sly to say. I mean, y'all see how you look, which is a great segue into our unofficial official disclaimer.
I look good. I know that. Shout out to me.
Yeah, shout out to you.
You won't shout out to me. I gotta shout out to my own goddamn self.
Yeah. You what is unofficial? If you are easily
There
offended
you go.
by fat
We did
shaming,
this show for 3 years.
if you are easily offended by fat people, and I know you see I know you see him here, he's enough to make people, not just a person.
Really?
It's okay.
Really?
Because he's a nice person, not a great speller, but that's okay. God still loves the fat, okay?
I thought you were gonna say the fact.
The fat. God loves the fat.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay? It's a lot that you love,
Okay.
but only God's love can cover that. But literally, figuratively, and
Okay.
what was the disclaimer? Listen, if you're easily offended by anything,
Mm-hmm.
grow a pair and enjoy the show. Okay? But
That's it.
share, like, subscribe, do all of those things.
And we're on YouTube also. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe there. If you're on Facebook, like and share and subscribe. Go run up our numbers on YouTube.
Yeah,
so
run the numbers up
go
on
Go on there.
YouTube.
Just do our
We
thing.
love it.
Yes. So any way you can get us, you can reach us. All right. So that is our disclaimer. That's our intro. You know how to follow us. So now let's get into the show. We're going to do our weekly rundown. So our weekly rundown is a few topics that has been on since the last time we had an opportunity to talk to you. You know we got to put our own last podcast spin and twist on it and give you our opinion, which is the best opinion. So I know you've heard a lot of other people talk about so many things, but you ain't heard us yet. All right? So let's get into it. And starting off, we got my man, Shay, Uncle Shannon Sharp. He's in the news again, y'all. And this time, not for promoting an interview, but he's been in the news for something like this before, and more sexual allegations and tapes and videos and audio tapes, and this time it ain't including Shell. Because last time, it was like, show my Shell. Yes, that's my Shell right there. We still want to know who Shell is, all
I
right?
think Shell's real name was Sheldon, but
We ain't doing that.
okay.
We not doing that.
Okay,
We not doing that,
okay.
all right?
I mean,
Listen, it was. We're gonna say Michelle. That's what we not Sheldon. Michelle.
Okay, Michelle.
Hey, so there is a lady by the name of Gabriella.
We think because
Allegedly,
right, because she
and
came out as
allegedly,
Jane Doe.
allegedly this is her. Allegedly,
strong face.
and but Uncle Shay's in the news, and her legal team has released an alleged recording of him saying that
Anyone's gonna choke
I would, I'm gonna choke you. She said, "Well, I'm going out." She said, "I don't know why you want to go out, but I guess I'll go because I don't want to be choked." And he said, "I might choke you in public," allegedly. And she said it's not a good look. He said, "Well, it's not a good look for the shit you did to me." And then he said, allegedly, big black man chokes.
Well, no, that's not alleged because
It might be AI.
Okay, maybe AI.
And so,
but can I put a strong lisp in AI? Like, I mean, because if that's a really good, can AI have a lisp?
Dine, let Dine. I told her. She want me to. I told her. Okay, now I don't know if AI has a lisp or not, but this voice had a lisp and a country twang, and I still thought you that did. It
definitely sounded like it was Shannon.
It did sound like it was him.
And she's suing him for $50 million. Some of the text exchange show. So let me ask you this: do black men enjoy race play when is that why they go to other, because they can do some depravity that black women just may not understand? I mean, I guess because we taught y'all N words all the time, it's different.
I said I like that big.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a whole video series out there on it. I heard.
You also heard of Nuggets. Anyway,
I had never heard of Nuggets until anyone. Yeah. Listen. So
we're not going to Nuggets right now. Let's stick.
We're not talking about Nuggets right now. But yes. So the thing is, there's a segment of the population that likes to make it, and I don't know if this is why.
So let me ask you. Let me just say this. Okay. I'm going to give Shannon Shannon some grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she said, I don't want to get choked. He said, yeah, I may choke you in public. And she said, why would you do that, Shannon? Blah, blah, blah. That's very different than him actually choking her, right?
Yes.
If he likes race play, if he likes to be called whatever, and he likes
did that man choke a little white woman?
Yeah,
That's what he said.
That is what he said. But allegedly, it could be country lisp AI. We don't know. But there is, besides it being embarrassment withstanding. Besides it being embarrassing, is there anything that Shannon Sharpe has done and make you be like, God? I mean, there's nothing. I don't see anything illegal or bad about it.
No, I don't see anything illegal or bad about what we have been able to hear. Now, what I did hear Shannon Sharpe say in one of his videos was they're trying to release this small clip of the sex tape, and Shannon said, "Release it all." He said, "Release it all," like Marvin Sapp said, "Close the doors." Release it. Put it out. Release it.
Nope, we're not doing
Release
that.
It.
Nope.
Release the tape. So all I'm saying is, usually, people who say, "Man, I got something to hide," don't say put the whole tape out there. Either one or two things: he ain't got nothing to hide, or he very proud of what happened on the tape. So I don't know.
Or there could be two things at the same
time. Yeah.
And
because I still know how you went live without touching your phone.
So when I saw who the attorney was, who brought it forth, I already, and that's sad. That's sad. But I feel like if you really have a credible case, Busby would not be the attorney that you go to.
No.
Also, again, if they're into BDSM, and I ain't, shaming none of that.
You're not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
If they're into BDSM, and that's what they're into, um, again, that's not even anything to be embarrassed about. That's what you like to do. That's what you get. You know,
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure out what. I mean, we know what the motive is. Of
So,
course,
so
$50 million, but
so is she's alleging that he raped her? Is that what she's alleging?
I really hate that we got to use it.
I hate that we have to use that too, but I don't want this to get taken down, so I'm gonna just follow suit with everybody else says. But is that what she's alleging that he did for the $50 million?
I guess so. I don't know because it's still bubbling to the surface. There's so many. It's like so much stuff is coming out, and I'll be honest with you. We got a lot of shit coming to us from different ways. Kanye West made an explosive. I, I don't even know what to call it.
I mean, when you heard it though, we gon' I don't. We didn't put Kanye, and I was gonna put Kanye up here today.
See, I didn't know if we wanted to talk about that or not because it's so.
So basically, what? And listen, side note, we still talking about Shannon Sharp, but y'all got to keep up with the shows. This is why you got to start from the beginning. Don't come in late, like we do.
Do as I say, not as I do.
So Kanye pretty much said that his mama had a play girl because her book was different, and they decided to reenact what was in the mama's magazines
Yeah.
versus if you were to get your daddy's
Well, I
magazine,
didn't.
right?
I'm guessing it was. Did he say Playgirl?
He said
I
my
know
mama's magazine
I know he
was
said his
different.
mom. I know he said his mama's magazines were different. So I'm like, well, what did your mom? What magazines your mom have?
Playgirl.
Playgirl got 2 men in there.
I don't know, but she said different. I'm thinking Playboy, Playgirl, unless she had something else.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Maybe that's what he mean by different. Because if it was Playgirl, you would have said she didn't have Playboy. She had Playgirl because she's a woman. She said she had different. So
What was your mama into?
we're not gonna get into what Donda was into. Rest in peace,
No,
Donda.
no. He put it out there. So we.
It's fair game now.
He listen, like on the movie I just watched. You have to be invited in, but once you invite us in, we finna wreck shop.
You could have said I found a magazine.
I found a magazine.
You said my mama's magazine was
Was
different. And so
Specifically, said your mama's magazine was different. So you emulated what you saw in your mother's
the
magazine.
glizzies, they was in there doing the glizzies, and you decided to say, oh, okay. Now here's the question.
Why? Why for so long?
That's a long time. But here's the question. I hear that is reciprocal. You just said, I'm gonna do what I saw. The cousin didn't see. Not that I care, but I'm saying
There's a lot.
you was like, oh, I just did what I saw. And it was, and first of all, you don't throw your cousin under the bus. The cousin might not want nobody to know this, but now you done put it out there that you had an 8-year long.
So now everybody's looking at. Now it would be funny if he only has like one cousin on both sides.
Well, this cousin was on both sides.
So Shannon Sharp.
So Shannon Sharp. Anyway,
Yeah.
so here's the thing. Here's the thing about Shannon Sharp, right? Bro, you got to chill. Like you got to do something different in life, man. I mean,
but does he?
yes, because
What
this
is the
does not
difference?
help. What I'm saying is this does not help his longevity in his career. I don't believe. To be on the level that I believe that he wants to be on and continue to be on, I don't think this helps him. So these things continuing to occur when you have a job working for Disney, and now and here's the thing:
I see what you're saying.
anybody can come out and make allegations. And Sharp himself said in the past, he won't have a meet with a woman in an office with a door closed. He always leaves it ajar with a trash can or a chair or something like that because he had been accused of sexual assault before, and he was like, I didn't want to go through that no more. So he said, I don't even get on elevators with women. It's just me and another woman, right? And now we're talking about the accidental release of a sex audio tape. and now we're talking about this woman is now accusing you, and this woman, if I'm,
Well, you know what? I won't get on the elevator if it's me and a man or me and if there's no other female, I will not get on the elevator.
well, and the thing is though, like, you know, a lot of guys, I don't like being alone with women. You can
Cause,
easily,
cause
you can
they
easily
don't
be
know
accused
the
of
baby
something.
don't know which teat to
Really?
suckle.
That's what we doing right now.
Nope. Nope.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, can we finish Shannon Sharp so we can
So
get to our
but the reason I say you got to chill out. She's 20 years old, right?
did Monique tell Lito
Monique said go get you an old woman that can cook, right? And what I'm saying is she's 20 years old and she has everything to gain and nothing to lose.
Absolutely.
You have everything to lose and nothing to gain, but a fun time and for maybe some race play. I don't know what you're into. But what I'm saying is
Do you think
he took TK Kirkland saying literally, there's a brand new group of college girls graduating in June. And he was at the college graduation for this one.
and what you look like?
And she's the OnlyFans model.
That's what I was about to say. Do you think an OnlyFans model would be someone you would spend that type of well I guess so if you want that type of energy because you go certain places to get certain energy, right?
He has famously said he won't be Simone. I mean, not be Simone, be nasty, right? He said, bring me be nasty. I don't want no saved girl. I won't be nasty. I had heard who she was. I'll show you who she was later. But he wants be nasty, right? And so, and listen, and obviously he seen be nasty work, and he was like, yeah, I want some of that. But when you out there and you say, I want the be nasties of the world.
You there are certain things that come
There's
along
certain
with
things that come
being
along
nasty.
with being nasty, with be nasty. And when you have that type of power, when you say you want somebody like that, because she saw the video, she made the video like, oh my God, he said he wanted me. You don't think, possibility of some back channel, somebody done calls him? Because that's the field that you try to play in.
Well, but that's why I really don't feel that sorry for him. And hey, you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. So, but keep the messages coming, Shannon. I'm enjoying all of them.
But
Actually,
they say if he gets his way, there's a whole 10-minute tape for you to check out.
10 minutes.
He said, if I'm not mistaken, did y'all hear 10 minutes? I think he said 10 minutes. He said, don't release 30 seconds. It's a whole 10-minute tape out there.
He's proud of 10 minutes.
Listen, I ain't saying.
But if you're doing a lot of choking, I guess 10 minutes is a long time to be choked.
So, with that being said, we'll keep you guys posted on the latest updates with with Shay Shay, asphyxiation.
And and I hate that he we have the same name. As a matter of fact, my trainer, shout out to Hollywood, he's calling me, what's up, Shay Sharp? Come on, Shay Sharp. Next time I see him, I'm like, don't call me Shay Sharp.
He's trying to say you was built like a tight end without a tight end. Now, listen.
Okay.
You listen.
Yeah, I said
you ain't been to the gym in a while, so.
And.
Listen, there was a podcast here locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area called Dear Future Wifey.
I'm pot. You're black.
And
what you do with your hands?
Pause. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Give them the particulars on these people.
Well, the subject is. I thought we were going to go to the subject first before we jump into them because they kind of.
But they kind of led us to the subject. So let's talk about them.
Okay. So this is Pastor. I'm guessing that they're pastors, right? Reggie and Kelly Steele. If you have not seen who these people are, they were on I guess a very popular podcast, My Dear Future Wifey.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Where the wife proudly, boldly, affectionately, oddly enough, speaks on how her husband mistreated her, um, abused her, and how God graced her to accept it all. She stated that her husband would tell her that I hate you and I don't want to be married to you. And she would be like, but I love you. And one day you're going to want to be married to me. She would ask him to pray for her. And he would say, I don't want to pray with you. She said that she would even iron his shirts to get him ready to go be with his side chicks.
He left home to go be with his side piece.
And he's sitting next to her dressed like a pimped out booger and is just, that's right, baby. Yeah, that's right. And she even goes to talk about how when they were high school sweethearts, and that she knew that she was not his only one, but she knew that she was his main one.
She the main. Hey, you the bottom B.
And she kept saying, God graced me with this, and this was be. My husband would say this, but God's voice was louder because I was listening to God, and that's right. And
He irritated you, didn't he?
he irritated me more than she did, and she actually irritated me more. They both irritate. I don't know. They kept bouncing back and forth on the irritation level. And she was standing. She was in her conviction. She stood 10 toes in it, and she would say, he would say these things to me, but I would listen to God's voice because God's voice was louder. God graced me. God graced me to accept these things, and now we're better for it. And my response to that was, may that type of man, that type of love, that type of religion, that type of grace, that type of God never find me. Terrence asked me in the pre-show, "You don't. What was your question? You don't think God?"
You don't think that what she said could be true? Where God said, "Hey, I'm going to use you to
Yeah,
do that."
it could be true because there's a story in the Bible, and I can't remember if it's Gomar or Tamar. Forgive me, but it's one of those Mars. And the wife was acting. She was a straight out whore. She whored herself out. Everybody knew it. She was with other people's husbands, whatever. And God spoke to the husband and told the husband when she returns to take her in, like, don't shun her, don't whatever. So I do believe that I don't know. I guess it's a possibility because it was in the Bible, but I have issues with that too. But my response to Terrence
The
was,
issue with the Bible.
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
My response to Terrence was, um, God will not put.
I just wanted to slide over just in case.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like it's a big target for lightning not to hit, but
If God want to talk to me about it, I'd be like, which Bible you talking about? You talking about the Bible the slave owners used, or okay?
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna pull slavery out every time God commissioned me for something.
Where were you at? Where you at when we was in
Right.
slavery?
When God said, "Why didn't you listen to me?" I was just listening. I was following your lead, but my ancestors was calling. But anyway, I
400 years.
long, and then we're not gonna talk about Jim Crow, Reconstruction, civil rights. But anyway,
What do we ever do to you, Lord?
what did we ever do? Well, apparently it was bad.
It was real bad.
Horrible.
It was
we
bad.
We're still paying for it.
Y'all talking about Sierra prayer. We trying to get some of the white folks prayers.
So,
We're going to be on top for a while. I'm sorry. Keep going.
I'm on Donald Trump's prayer. 'Cause what the? And he don't even pray. He say 2 Corinthians. At least I know it's 2 Corinthians, guys. See, I got a little biblical scholarship. So of course this is a faith-based led conversation. And everything, and there's a follow-up video also where she's answering questions, and she's answering questions and trying to walk back some stuff that she said in response to the feedback that she got from this particular interview, right? And one of those one of the things that she said, or what she got pushback on, was, I think someone asked her if she would she would she recommend that, or I guess women were saying, they would have never stayed. And what do you say to the women who say that they left their husbands for that or whatever? And so her response was, well, that's why they're single now. Like that's their punishment for leaving. Your punishment is being single. If that is what my marriage looks like, I'll stay single until Christ returns. Because
But you,
being mentally and verbally abused, being told, when somebody tells you that they hate you, right? That's bad. When your husband looks at you and tells you, I hate you, if you're a spouse, but if your husband tells you that he hates you, do not sleep next to that man. Get from under that roof. If a man hates you, what else is there after that? And so I do not believe that the God that I love and serve would put me, Shannon, in that position. Because, like I told Terrence, if that is a test, I am going to fail every time. I guess it's true. God gives us what He knows that we can handle. Uh, that I won't be able to handle. I don't think anybody would want to be able to handle. And what gets me is that the husband is so okay and he is so content with listening to this. Oh yeah, and she, yeah, baby, yeah, baby, and it pissed me off because I'm really getting tired of hearing these type of stories, and it's, well, and it's always the black woman with the struggle of, and what Christianity, my faith tells me. I, if my faith is going to allow me to be a dumb ass doormat, I don't want that faith. And I'm probably going to be it's probably going to be a lot of pushback from that, and I don't care because I don't subscribe to Christianity. I'm a believer. Christianity puts God in a box and makes you feel like there's this huge separation between you and the creator, and he tells you, I'm already in you.
and that's what this was doing. He was looking for God in the box.
Well, he found it in a lot of boxes with a nice iron shirt.
And he was like, "What you doing?" He said, "I'm already in you." So to your question, segue to your question.
has
Uh,
has Christianity crippled the black community? Yes. I read somewhere today, well, on a thing. Uh Ebony in 1976, I want to say. I
hmm
could be wrong, but it's in the 70s. Ebony showcased a black Jesus.
hmm
And they got, now this is Ebony magazine. I think we know who all subscribe to Ebony.
Ebony people, just don't type Ebony in your search bar.
You're so smart. Oh,
That's what I heard.
okay. You and Ebony Nuggets gotta go.
Ebony Nuggets. Is that a
Ebony
thing?
Ebony almost went under because they got so much scrutiny, pushback, and negative feedback for displaying a black Jesus on their publication, right?
hmm
To the point to where they had so many people pull their subscription that they actually almost went under. That alone speaks volumes to what Christianity, how black people view themselves and view Christianity in their lives,
Yes.
and you talk about it all the time. Um, Florida Evans,
Yeah.
the good times effect.
And when that watching that episode and how Florida reacted to them having a black Jesus on the wall, and then Michael had to go to the Bible to say, "Hey, mom, look at the description," right? But she had been brainwashed to believe that her God did not look like her,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again and again and again, you guys have heard of the 16 Chapel,
Sis-
16, yeah, 16 Chapel. I can't say that shit.
It's okay.
But
You can't say a lot of stuff.
yeah,
You can say
but
little favorite.
I can't say a lot of stuff. Yeah, yeah, give me more of that. Mohamed Potato. Stop stop it. I'm not playing with you right now. But the thing
I'm
is,
just saying. I just saw a teacher eat a roll. I know somebody eats some damn bread like that. It's like a masterpiece. I was in awe. I was, oh, oh my gasters were flabbered.
yeah, you was like, you got another one.
Facts.
But the
Okay,
thing
anyway.
is, all of the angels and stuff that was on the ceiling,
Your fat ass always
originally,
bring up food.
they were black. The priests got together and said, how are these people going to worship us if we don't look like the angels? So they had them repainted. We have seen that picture of the white Jesus. Now I want to ask yourself, I don't know if you might not know much about geography, but all the Bible stories take place in the Middle East. Tell me the lily white person you know that you have seen that has said they're from anywhere in the Middle East. Matter of fact, you know why it ain't none? Because America's always trying to bum shit out of them, okay? So you know it ain't none over there. And it's the reason why there is one country over there, right in the middle of all them brown people, they ain't brown, just so America can have access to the middle of that whole region.
Yeah.
So the thing is that when you go through and you think about how we have been um, and I am a person who believes that the practice of Christianity and the worship of Jesus and God, I believe it predates slavery. I've done research where these things were practiced all the way back in Africa. So people say, oh well, this is not. I'm
Well,
not a believer.
the first Bible the first real Bible that they found was it's an Ethiopian Bible,
Hmm.
and the Ethiopian Bible has more books than
Yes.
this watered down Bible that we get. But the 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 European Jesus, the picture of the European Jesus, is Cesare Borgia, right? And if you know anything about the Borgias, his daddy was a pope. And this is back when popes could have wives. And the Borgias were a crazy, unhinged family to begin with. Um, but the notion that a black Jesus was so abhorrent that Florida Evans lost her mind, um, black consumership went down because
Of Ebony
Ebony from
magazine.
Ebony magazine,
Yeah.
all the way to present day to this lady sitting next to her husband talking to another man about the abuse that she endured from her husband, and to say, well, God graced me. I don't want to take away from the validity of her and her faith, or even what she say she heard from God, right?
Hmm.
Because I do know God works in mysterious ways. I don't think God that mysterious, but I understand God works in mysterious ways. But I also know what, according to the Bible, what God how God commissioned husbands to behave,
Hmm.
right? There are a specific set of rules. One of them that sticks out is love your wife as Christ loved the church. I don't think I don't think a husband telling his wife that I hate you is Christ like. Um, and it pisses me off because when she
But
talks,
he is also human, right?
yes,
And I don't know what his backstory is, of what he been through or whatever. And I'm only saying that because if we're gonna talk about it in almost a spiritual level, like yo, he might have went through some things that even had him feeling his way about her. I don't know them people, but I just know what she's saying she went through from what
right.
he went
Well,
through.
and from the onset, when she's speaking about their relationship and their dynamics of their relationship from the onset, from the very beginning, it has always been that dynamic.
Hmm.
And um and I feel like the major religions are very male centered religions. Christianity is a very male centered religion. So it does not surprise me that you have a woman divulging some of the most disgusting things that she said that her husband has done, said, or whatever to her, the behaviors, and she keeps saying, because I didn't know myself. She kept going back. Well, I didn't know who I was in Christ, and I didn't know who I was in Christ, and then, but you did not know who you were in Christ, but you heard the voice of God. I was confused, but whatever. Um, it just seems like to me when we have these religions that are very male centered, it almost it softens the corners of abuse from male to female. It's, yeah, he did all this to you, but look at you now. Yeah, he completely obliterated your self-esteem, your worth as a woman, but look at you now.
Hmm.
Why is that okay?
Um, so I think on the surface, we're not going to say it's okay, right? We're not going to say that's okay. When you, and I think we get a lot of these stories also where with the coverage of it, we see him on the woman goes through the struggle and the man don't, right? I mean, not saying he don't, but the woman go through the struggle and have the struggle of, and then they have this happily ever after, and they together, and like you say, he's dressed as a what? Oh,
Um,
what you say?
what did I say?
I can't
Pimped out
remember.
booger.
Yeah,
I don't know.
so the thing is that, but there are these cases that happen on the flip side, like you said, that resemble more than what the Bible story said. Well, hey, I know she's went out here and had these kids on me. I know these are not mine, but I'm gonna raise them and all this other stuff. So this type of things happen, and we don't know what people are hearing from their higher power to say that you're going to go through this, and this is going to either make you better or this is going to strengthen you. This is so we don't really know. But even to your question, and when you talking about has Christianity crippled the black community, I believe that the misuse of Christianity has
Mm,
crippled us, and I believe that we have taken Christianity to be this passive, sit back. Pretty much. You know what? The Christians are the Democrats, just passive and just letting everybody else go along and do what they want to do and break rules or whatever. And we're like, well, we're gonna take the moral high ground. It's like, no, sometimes you got to get in there and fight fire with fire. And so I think we have used it in a way that has we don't we when we say, oh man, I know who I am in Christ. Well, why are you passive? Why are you timid? Why don't you think or understand who you are as a person, as a
right,
being, especially in the black community? I mean, we
right.
talk about all the greatness that we have. Anytime people have taken away from us, we've been able to take it and double it and then go above. We talking about 400 years of slavery, and all from there, black people in America has the shortest time of enslavement because we was able to come out of there faster than anybody else in the 400 years of existence here on this country. We had 250 years of actually enslavement, not including Jim Crow and all this other stuff. But to go from that to president of the United States of America that fast, you see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And so the thing is that we have a gift, we have a power, we got to have a calling for us to be able to endure all of this damn pain,
And still be able to,
suffrage,
yeah,
and not only be able to survive and actually thrive, but to not go kill everybody we see,
right.
because that's not in us, right?
But so bring it back to religion, because even when religion is Christianity, I'm gonna stick with Christianity because most of the people who we talk to are Christians,
Mhm.
and I don't know, I don't know much about Islam or Judaism, so I don't speak about the things I don't know. But I do know Christianity because I was raised as a Christian, and I've heard conversations. I've seen people weaponize Christianity, but I've seen Christianity be used by black people on black people to keep them oppressed and to keep them in a mind of oppression. Because it's one thing to be physically oppressed, but when you're mentally oppressed, and when that's all you know, and then you're told that you can't be, you can't do, you can't look, you can't feel, you can't behave, you can't do any of these things because that's not of God. And this is not, this is how you should be thankful for this little whatever, because that's what God would do. That's what Jesus would do. And then you start talking to God for yourself, and you start convening with God on your own, and God is giving you something completely different from what you've been taught within those four walls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of church, you start getting your own personal relationship, and you start to see, you know what, a lot of these mindsets and a lot of things that we as black people are accustomed to, that come from these our Christian background, has really harmed us more than it has helped us. So, in respects to this, into the steals, I don't know, I keep wanting to call them Neely, into to the steals. I don't know, I don't know what his background is, and honestly, I don't care, because you are a grown man, you're a grown adult, you were a man who decided to get married to this woman, and still decided to treat her like whatever. And we hear a lot. I heard a lot from her. All I heard was side lying. That's right, baby. From him.
He didn't do much
He
talking in a
right,
lot of that
but
stuff.
he didn't have to.
Yeah.
He didn't have to, because she is still taking on that
Mm-hmm.
burden. That is still her cross to bear, and it shouldn't be. Here's the other thing: that man's still cheating.
Listen, I watched that and I said, "Oh, he's still knocking him down.
No, and
He's still knocking him down."
she knows. I
Cause see,
don't.
that's why cause you know what?
That's why I'm so
That
pissed.
that the equivalent of yeah. I got down and I washed her feet and all. The equivalent of that is the dude that stands behind the girl that's about to pay.
And he,
He's just holding her, letting her know that, hey, I'm your man. I got you. Go on and
go
pay
to
for us
swipe.
because I ain't got no money for the movies. I was like, oh yeah, bruh, man, he's
I
still
would have.
getting them.
I would have loved. I would have loved to hear from him. I would have loved for him to say something other than what he said, because I don't want to put what I wanted him to say. I would have just loved to hear him say something,
Hmm.
to hear him show some type of contrition, something. As opposed, yeah, baby, what you call me, baby? Yeah, yeah, I told her she wasn't this. Yeah, I told her, and she just laughing, and I'm like, listen, God did not create you to be this stupid. God did not create you to be this stupid. God did not number the hairs on your head specifically designed for you. For you to sit next to this man and be this dumb in that hideous dress.
Maybe you didn't talk about the lady's dress now.
Uh, What? I'm just saying, if you're gonna come out with that information, at least give us something more pleasant to look at.
Wow.
I didn't like the dress. I actually
They were
like the
color
dress. I don't like
coordinated.
the dress, and that made me even more mad.
I knew it did.
I feel like this could go so many ways, because my other thing is, why
Sorry.
do?
There's a either a bot or a hater in the chat
Oh yeah,
from
I
the
saw
back.
that.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
yeah,
even respond, because
I just wanted to make sure.
yeah, because our people know us. We don't, that bot better be glad that our ignorant day ones are not either here or didn't see that, because they would be all over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But anyway, but thank you for watching, fan. You heard that, didn't you? Um. So yeah, I do believe that we have allowed Christianity, the notion of Christianity, to really keep us in a state of ignorance. And 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 I'm not speaking against anybody's faith. I'm not telling you to go against God, because I never said that. But God is big enough for you to say, uh God, if that was you, to her, I'm not her. But I feel like God already knows that. God knows exactly that. Um, so do you feel like Christianity has crippled the black community? If you feel like that, if you have something to say in the comments, please
Yeah.
let us know. Do you feel like Christianity of has played a part of crippling the black community? I feel
So
like there are three major things.
so
Christianity is one of them.
so the thing is that I don't want to put the onus of Christianity because Christianity is here for us to use it. It's our misuse of it.
Yeah.
And so the actual premise of it, or the however you want to say it, not using it in a way, because I'm gonna tell you there are some things that I have heard that I really believe we take to heart, and it has been the wrong way, and especially some of the old church, right? And this might not even be a Christianity thing. This might be a quote unquote church thing,
Okay.
right? Um,
What is
there seems to be this mindset of we have to be impoverished to get into heaven. And I understand the Bible says it's easier for a rich man to get through the eye of a needle than, I mean, it's easier
it's easier
to
for a camel to
to
get
get
through
through
the
an
eye
eye
of
of
a
a
needle
needle than
for
a
it is
rich
for a
man to
rich
get to
man.
heaven, right?
Yeah.
And I have seen where it seems like, and you gotta understand. So even at my age, seeing church in yesteryears, it seems like we can't get too much, right? And the thing seemed like it kind of switched where everybody went to this prosperity, but the prosperity mainly was about the man that was standing on stage. Um, and there was it was these things where it was almost like then you also start to find out the easiest way to get power is in church. You
Right.
have no power, you can go be a pastor, a deacon, a usher, or somebody and get some sense of power,
But
which is
have you heard the? I don't mean to cut you off, but have you heard the sermons from in a black church are completely different from sermons in a white church
true.
because white church sermons are about they're empowering and prosperity and God wants you.
And listen, I'm not poor. Like financially, I'm not
Well,
poor.
we can.
But I'm gonna tell you,
Nobody's that big as poor. Nobody. Somebody has to be making money.
listen,
Anybody got to feed you.
and you know what? And you know what? And speaking of, for all you pastors out there that belly run it over your pants, stop talking about other people's sins because we can see yours, okay? Because you ain't talking, you ain't taking care of your own temple. And what happens is a lot of times these old fat pastors be trying to sit some girl down because she got pregnant, knowing good and well that the guy who on the organ got all the talent in the world, he's the one that got her pregnant, and they wouldn't sit her down. Which is another thing when you talk about crippling the black community. Then what happens is you put this cast on the woman because of quote unquote her sin, but you won't put it on the dude because he has a certain position in the church. See
Again,
all
that's
these
because it's very male centered.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's very male centered, but I guarantee you, if that in a lot of cases, and I know some people got their own stories, but a lot of cases let the girl who got pregnant be the coldest organ player in the city. She gonna stay on that organ
No, she not.
because of the power.
No, she won't. Nope. Nope. She.
I've seen.
If
Okay, I've
she
seen it the other way.
if she is unmarried, I've seen it with my own eyes. An unmarried, unwed, pregnant lady who had a very high standing in the church got pregnant by someone else, a guy who
Of
also had
course.
had a high standing in the church.
Uh huh.
They set her down
Oh yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
left him there.
Yes.
But her position was more important than him.
Okay. Well, like I said, I've seen it.
But
I started off saying it
because
this way.
as a woman, you should know better. As a man, we expect it,
Well, and with that being
even in
said,
Christianity,
even with that being said,
unfortunately.
one thing that I'm watching, like I said, when we get to the church, we get to the individualized way that we use Christianity, and we start having these power struggles, right? Like I even say, like in church, there are people that fall in Christianity. Like nobody can work together in church
No,
to the point to where, listen, you got a church that's struggling. We shouldn't be giving money to no church that can only pay the rent. the lead musician, and the light bill. Because that church has no money. That church does not have money to redistribute. That church only has money to intake just to keep this church to say that, oh, I'm the pastor. Whereas y'all probably can share a building with another guy and cut your rent in half, but y'all don't want to share buildings. You don't want to. You got 12 people. He got 25. How about y'all get a 37-member congregation and y'all split time so you can, if you're really about God's
very
people.
Impressed by those that additions.
You see how quick I did that.
Yeah.
So the thing is, that when you are, oh, I got to have struggle, which is why a lot of pastors become 80 and 90 years old and still trying to pastor every Sunday, because he does not want to give it their power, because for a long time the only way of power in a black community was to be the preacher, right?
Yeah.
And so when we have a misuse of this thing we call Christianity, then that's what starts to cripple us, and we have this savior-like complex because we need somebody to be our God, and the closest thing we can get is pastor. Because I'm always saying, like, when I see these people online and they talking crazy to people, and I'm like, boy, they talking like they won't get hit in the mouth, right? And so people going off on people, and so there was this one guy, Brian Korn, he's some prophet or whatever. Well, he sat down at this table, and somebody had a microphone, but they put it like behind this little plant where he was sitting. They had a microphone on so you could hear him, but they said, grab the microphone. How I'm gonna grab something that ain't here? And they was like, it's behind the plant. He grabs it. Well, why y'all put it back there? This and that, right? And I'm watching like, yo, why? And I've seen him go off on musicians in church. This one guy put in the comment, well, he better than some of the leaders I know, because some of the leaders threw the microphone on the ground and said, you pick it up. And I said, that's because y'all ain't hit him in the mouth yet.
Well, and that's
like,
because,
don't let no grown man talk to you because he got no position or no pastor like that. No, because now it's a subservient type of situation.
And pastors, a lot of pastors have that God complex. They and a lot of people in their congregation treat them like they are God in human form. Like God wrapped himself in flesh and came down as
don't
as your
touch
pastor.
thou anointed. All y'all ain't anointed. How about that?
And he was even talking about the Levites. We even talking about.
But how about you ain't even, a lot of you ain't even anointed. All right. So you just know how we won first place in the oratorical contest at elementary, and you took that skill set and grabbed the Bible. Because I know a whole bunch of people that was like, you know what, I need to make some money, man. I'm gonna start preaching. And so everybody that ain't in the pulpit, they ain't anointed. Okay. So I think we have misused this thing, and I think that with the misuse and the power struggle to have some sense of power and have some money and to be on, Preachers of LA and to fly on the private planes and all this other stuff, and to have a situation to where now I got to have all these people, all my parishioners and all everybody support pastor. You gotta get a pastor, you know what I'm saying?
Why do you have to sound?
Because that's when they start going into all that, and then they sound so high and mighty, and everybody just cow down to them, right?
Now, don't get me wrong. I know two pastors that, listen, one of them is really my family. Pastor Gray and, of course, Pastor Hill. They can do no wrong. I love them to death. Those, when you say a pastor for the people, you have a love for God's people. Those are the pastors. They have a love for God's people, and they show it through their everyday lives. Mm-hmm. They show it through their work. They show it through how they live. Yeah. And these aren't Louis Vuitton pastors. These are pastors who drive Camrys, and he had an Avalon last time.
And listen, and I ain't even here to say that a pastor shouldn't have some nice stuff, right? But there is a situation when, like, your church is in this Empires area, and you the nicest car rolling around, mm-hmm. and so I'll tell people all the time, it's not the intake of money that people have a problem with the church. It's the redistribution of it. And that's what people want to know, like, okay, what is this going good for? And if it can't do nothing but pay the lights, the lay musician, and the rent, and because honestly, a lot of pastors can't take a salary. They don't make enough.
No, that's why they work. They actually work.
But you know what? I know there's a lot of them that love to preach the word of God. But I'm saying, you are just taking money from all these single mothers out here on fixed incomes, and all you could do is beg them until you get enough. And all you could do is have a 3 o'clock service so Doc can bring his congregation over so you can get a little bit. So 6 months later, y'all can go a little bit over there and back and forth.
Yeah.
And now you stand in the church talking about close the doors, close the doors. Close the door. How many ways can you say close the door? He said it a lot of different ways. All I'm saying is,
I'm
we
not
have
touching
misused
that.
this.
I have not touched that. I'm
No, no.
not touching it.
Trust me.
But I'm not touching it for a reason.
Listen. I'm joking because I heard the story behind what was going on, so I don't think Marvin Sapp was in wrong for that. But black people ain't gonna pass up no joke. Okay.
No, we're not.
So I don't care how serious it was. We're gonna laugh at it. All right. And he got a fire song called "Close the Doors." He just came out with. He was like, "Look, y'all making money off this. I'm about to too."
Does it sound like the Teddy Pendergrass?
It's R&B ish, but it's jamming, and it's Marvin Sapp. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, he made real good gospel music, and not this old CCM stuff. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. So, with that being said, I think we both understand, or we both have agreed that there are some elements. Again, I'm not gonna say Christianity because I'm not gonna. I don't know. I can't say I'm gonna pluck something out of Christianity and say this has crippled us and that's crippled us. I think we have misused what is put out there because other people have taken the same Bible and figure out a way to thrive on it.
Other people have.
And why can't we?
How come, exactly? Is it now? Let me ask you a question. Is it because how Christianity was introduced to us?
Maybe, but you said something earlier about you said you didn't know much about Islam, whatever. What if the black Christians? I'm not saying it every way.
Jesus was what?
But in a lot of ways.
Trans.
Jesus was trans. I didn't see that.
No.
But what if the black Christians, in a lot of ways, had movements like the Muslims, like the unity and the organization and the hey we going out and I don't know everything in Islam to say is good or bad as far as men and women. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there's some organization that we lack.
And there's an organization. There's a pride.
Yes.
There is a message of unity. There is a respect. And that's because you really don't, and I'm not saying there aren't outliers, but you really don't see too many Muslims who play about their faith, who play about who they are in their faith. They don't teeter and tot. They don't toe the line. They aren't lukewarm, right? So you kind of have this reverence for them because of how they carry themselves with their faith. Christians wave in the wind. Wherever the wind goes is where the Christians gonna go.
Yeah. And that's a fact.
As far as black people in Christianity, maybe how it was introduced to us and it was used as a control mechanism. It was bastardized when it came to how it was given to us.
But Shannon, people like Nat Turner actually read it and said, "Oh, wait a minute. The Bible says this. This is how it can be." Like, why don't we take the same thing as a collection, as a body? Why don't we look and say, yo, it says be this. Yeah. Like, it says be bold. It says be confident. It says be fearless. It says for us to go out and say, listen, I can do all things through Christ. I don't have to have no limitations on me. Yeah. We look at situations now when we look at a lot of our kids and a lot of our black boys and things like that. Could you imagine if we had the organization and structure to have these boys in a situation where it's like, yo, you are him.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody tell you that you're not. And this is what you're going to be. And this is the type of man we're going to raise. And if we had a certain level of standards and principles and things like that to where we can look at our young men and have them involved and like no option, you have to do this.
We use it to uphold. We use it to catapult them into greatness. if it was used that way.
Yes.
But how do we use it in the black community?
And
We
I
use
know,
it to cut down. We you know you've been in a black church.
but
You see the way those old church women who have been in church all this long, they still miserable every Sabbath or Sunday morning. They smell like white diamonds, and they sit there with a scowl on their face. And if somebody young comes in, and they are a baby in Christ, and maybe, and they don't look the way you look, they don't worship the way you worship, they may be a little too excited in their worship, they they will find a way to cut those people down.
they don't lead
And
with love.
no, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact, you'll be hard pressed to find most Christians, most churches don't lead with love. They lead with judgment. They lead with judgment.
Yeah, and so those same old ladies, me playing music in the church and things like that. I was at church early one Sunday, and I was the mean church lady section. Y'all know that section. All of
Hmm.
it. The hell are you frowning for? So
Because they ain't had a man since World War I. He went
Dry.
off. He went off to the war, and she thought he died, but he escaped her ass.
Yeah, he got a woman on the other side of town. Listen, so
That
I'm
G's
sitting,
on me.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him, and I walked over to him and I said, "Man, ask y'all a question.
Uh-oh, did we
Why are y'all? Why are you? Why are y'all mad?
Did we freeze?
No.
Oh,
Why are y'all so mad? Why y'all so mean mugging? Why y'all frowned
say
up?
it.
Why y'all looking like that?" I said, "Let me let you know," because it was like 8 o'clock in the morning that Sunday. I remember. I looked at my watch. I said, "I just left the club at 2. Everybody in there was smiling. And if I wasn't raised up around this to understand how important God was, and I came in here for the first time, and I just left the club at 2 o'clock in the morning where everybody was smiling, show up here at 8 when everybody got a frown on my face, where do you think I'm going next week? I'm going back to the club."
you left the club at 2. Was at the church at 8?
Yeah, had to be there for the first service. I had to play drums. I wasn't finna miss that check.
Oh, yeah. I know you 'cause you like the buffet.
No, but I
Some
would.
men love the hoes.
I
You
would-
like the hoagies.
I went there for the check. I wouldn't get paid that much. But the thing is, yes, I went to the club Saturday night. Club Saturday night. You gotta go to the club. And then you gotta be at church. There's only 6 hour window in there. So the thing is that the conversation I had the conversation I had with him was that same thing. Like, yo, you got to understand your look, your attitude. You are part of the reason that keeps people out of here.
Mhm.
And then I had another pastor ask me, "Why don't more men come to church?" And I'm like, "Look, we see the hustle. Like, we understand the church is 70-30, 80-20. Yo, you don't think a dude know how to talk slick to a woman? And so when he hear you talking slick, he like, oh, I see the hustle in this. You trying to play to the 80-20 so they can put money in the collection plate. And then you do dog whistle words like, oh, tell that joker. You ain't talking to no woman when you say joker. Oh, tell that Negro. Well, you definitely ain't talking to a woman when you say Negro. And also this other word preachers say all the time, baby. Well, you ain't calling me no baby, so you ain't talking to me. So,
I've never heard a preacher say baby.
man, yeah, I heard, baby, get ready, get ready, get ready. I've heard a lot of preachers say baby.
Well, I'm Adventist. I preach a little different.
Yeah,
We got Devon Franklin.
so
We don't got Devon.
y'all ain't got Devon
No,
Franklin.
no, we don't.
Yeah.
I won't tell you who we got.
But anyway, there are certain things that go on that men see, and that we're like, I've been doing this for 6 days of the week. I'm not coming here for 7 on this. I'm not subscribing to this. I'll get my own relationship or whatever I do, but I'm
Yeah.
not coming in here to have you preach down on me, and then I got to go home with a woman and say, pastor said, pastor. Listen, I ain't trying to hear that. Miss me with all that. So a lot of dudes just say, man, you know what? I'm gonna let y'all go and have that. And then you have what? You have usually a church full of women.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? If you are a man of any stature, you get a lot of people coming your way.
Yeah. If you are a single man and you really just trying to run through some hoes, go to church.
Listen, I tell ugly dudes, you got
Because they're gonna cook you a good meal.
listen. If you're real ugly, you need to get one of the 3 M's. You need to get money, muscle, or ministry. You can get your woman. Okay.
Which one you got?
Don't put two. I ain't ugly.
Oh,
I'm about to call you.
Make it plain. Ugly, subjective, clearly.
And what you look like. Yo, man, let's get up out of here. Hey, listen, shout out to you guys for tuning in, for commenting. I see y'all was running our numbers up today, man.
Yeah,
So I really appreciate that. Thank y'all for sharing. I know y'all shared this and let your friends and everything know that we were on. But put in the comments, do you think Christianity has crippled the black community? And Diane, tell us how Christianity has helped the white community. I don't know. I don't know how you answer that question, but it's cool.
I mean, Diane has a close proximity to black people. I'm one of her best
Diane,
friends.
you black adjacent.
Well, I'm one of her best friends.
She invites you to the cookout,
and
too,
I'm
y'all.
super black.
Mentally,
she all the way through and through. And I make note, like, I don't, and so Diane can tell you, I'm one of those black ladies. I take up space. Me and my blackness take up space. I don't shrink down for nobody, especially shut up, Chip. Especially.
You take up space.
I do. I take up space because so many times you, especially in scenarios where it's predominantly white. Black women, black people, but I'm speak from as a black woman because I'm a black woman. Black women, you have to figure out, okay, do I code switch? There's a different dynamic in every occasion or whatever, wherever we go. But Diane can tell you, I'm very pro black in the most whitest spaces. I make sure that I show up, and I show up with all the blackness that I have. I show up with my blackness.
That's your problem.
My ancestors' blackness.
That's your problem.
My ancestors were very black.
No, your problem is you show up so black, you don't know what to see you next Tuesday is, and that's why you was in HR.
I had no idea. I kept saying, I called her a statement. Like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, because we don't even use that.
Spell it out. See you next Tuesday. And Shannon called a woman that. And,
I didn't.
Because black women don't say that.
And once I found out what it was, I was like, the first thing I said out of my mouth in front of with a room full of white people and one black lady who sat at the very end and took notes with her legs crossed. I said, that's not even in my vernacular. I'm black. We don't even speak like that.
Yeah, we don't. I would have been lost on that too. Shout out to you guys for tuning in. Again, keep the comment section going. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. I got to give a shout out to my guy Major, who came through the studio. And you guys go out and check out his new single called "I Prayed for You." And most of you guys know Major from singing "This Is Why I Love You." If you've been to a wedding the last few years, "This Is Why I Love You" came on at some time during that ceremony. So shout out to Major for coming through and holler at me doing an interview with me. Make sure to follow us on Facebook. It is The Last Podcast 1. On Instagram is _The Last Podcast. So we're gonna get out of here. We do appreciate you guys for hanging out with us, and hopefully we don't have the Christians coming out at us next time and making this the last podcast.